Thank you. Hello people, so obviously we're all here for the knife angel, and obviously there'll be people here for different reasons. So the reason, I didn't even know that this thing existed, but I'm actually quite embarrassed to say that, because normally if there was something like that in the UK, then my research would have, because I do a lot of research, right, and I would have heard about it somewhere, but I was quite embarrassed that my colleague at Navet Kev suggested to come here, so cheers for that, Kev. But, so I was actually quite surprised that the knife angel had never even been in Scotland, and I'm not saying that like knife crime was only prevalent to Scotland, but I was just kind of surprised that it had never been here before, and I was actually quite pleased that the first time that it came to Scotland that I've been a part of that. Now, I'm going to get into how, like, my journey. So I grew up on the south side of Glasgow in the 80s and the 90s, and my parents were 17 years old when they had me and my older brother, so there was only like 10 months between us. So they split up and moved to another area, and my dad became involved in drug use, but we didn't see it happening or going on in the house. But obviously there's always an effect, there's always something going wrong, whatever. So we spend a lot of time with my grandparents, but one thing that I remember is my dad, one of my earliest memories, sitting telling me and my brother like stories about fighting or gang fighting with other areas, and getting arrested by the cops and taking chasers. And I used to, and see now that I'm older, I'm a single dad to a 13-year-old boy, and I go, who sits a 6 and a 7-year-old doing and talks about these things? Who would want to tell their kids this? So maybe that reflects the fact that obviously my dad wasn't it wasn't a bad person or that, but like, it's just not something to be sitting talking to a kid about. But we moved away to England for a while for my dad to get away from drugs, but the irony is when he went to England to live, he actually was murdered with a drug overdose, and the thing is that there was 3 deaths in my family within 13 months, and it was my dad, my dad's sister, my dad's brother. My dad was the final one to die, but when that happened, like, there was almost a total metamorphosis in my behaviour, how I was behaving at school, and the thing is, the trauma of that, I didn't understand it at the time. I wasn't even 14 yet, do you know what I mean? But we didn't talk about it, and I don't know if that's a Scottish thing, like, or it's just my family, or like, but I know a lot of families like this, they don't talk about emotions, they don't talk about how they're feeling, they don't tell each other they love them, see all this kind of stuff, right? It's like deal with it on your own sort of thing. So I remember that when my father passed away, like, obviously, like, I'd done dumb things, like maybe going to a fight at school, but I wasn't a bad kid. Like, when my brother first started school, the school said that they wanted to start me at the same time because they said I was like a wee bit more forward than somebody my age, but it didn't happen because me and my brother looked like twins and we dressed the same, so I think they were just like but, so when my father passed away, I was living with my grandparents, and my behaviour was just getting more reckless. So like, and there's always these kind of other factors, so like underage drinking, carrying weapons, and fighting with other areas. And people always say things like oh no, it doesn't happen, and I'm like, no, violence doesn't stop at the city limits of Glasgow. That's a fairy tale. It's like they think it only happens there, it happens everywhere. It's just by degree. So that there might be people in Perth or in some wee small town who people would not think that these things go on, but I can assure you, it might just be at a lesser degree. But when I was 15-year-old, I was arrested for a knife offence, and I got 4 years in prison. And the whole time I was in serving that 4 years, I couldn't really serve the whole thing because of how out of control I was. And even though I was like quite smart at school in some ways, there was just no application, because when I was that age, all the people that that I looked up to were people who were involved in organised crime, and I would have sold my soul to the devil to achieve the ambitions that I set out as a kid. And this is what kind of throws me as well, is because if you're growing up, and I used to laugh when people used to say, well, it's because there's no positive male role models, and I used to roll my eyes every time I heard that, right? And see now, I actually say this to people because I see wee guys in my area. It's not as bad as when I was a kid, but you can tell it's still the same old story. Like the parents have got addiction issues, or they're absent, or they're glamorising crime. Like there's no glamour in it at all. The only glamour in it is when you're watching it on TV, but you can switch the TV off at the end of the film. If you're actually doing it in real life, it's not going to lead anywhere positive. Like it just doesn't. It's stats, and I'm not a big fan of stats, but the jails are full of people that are in there for serious stuff, do you know? But when I got out during the 4-year sentence, I was only 18 years old, and the irony is, well, no irony, but I don't really kind of bring this up a lot, but when I was in home with young offenders, my behaviour was so erratic and out of control. I was transferred to the state hospital for an assessment period, and I look back and think, like, why was I not taking this seriously? I think it's just because I was so desensitised, so detached, that to me emotions go in the way of trying to get through day-to-day life, trying to survive, do you know? Like, to me emotions would get you killed, basically. So I think I was just shutting down all the kind of any emotion that I had left. But the thing is, I remember, like, I wouldn't show any feeling, but I remember like sometimes I'd be like blind drunk at 15 and going home and crying myself to sleep because of the stuff that had happened with my dad and that. And I knew that was the driving force behind all this violence, because I couldn't go and hurt the people who had done this to my dad, but like associators this area and that area, but they all, you know, they're like, right, kids, and they would all be saying, oh, wait, we get you, and I just be like, aye, well, yeah, and then just doing crazy things. The first time I get stabbed, I was 14, and it went right through this arm and it came out here, and I was only 14, no, a month before my 15th birthday, and I had to go to hospital and get a major operation in my arm, and it was mad, but I nearly my fingers cut off as well. Like some guy pulled a Bowie knife on me, and I grabbed it with my hand, and it's like my fingers are mangled, you know what I mean? So like the amount of times I could have lost my life, like that's not even all of it, but don't want to kind of go into it all, do you know, because it's quite morbid. But the thing is, like, why is it that carrying knives is so like blasé in our country? And I think London, it's not just our country, right, but London and all these other major cities, there's just people just kind of out with this callous attitude to violence, and I used to be one of them people until I went to prison and actually basically grew up inside there and thought, like, nah, I'm not doing this, because so the reason I ended up kind of changing my behaviour was because I went to prison when I was 21, so I only had 2 prison sentences. I don't mean only, like it's nothing, but when I was 21 I got 16 years in prison for a knife crime as well, right? And I was just like, I need to sort my life out, man, but I didn't know how to do it. But when I went to Shorts prison, I was only 22 or something, and they just did a major riot like the year before, and I was like, what am I walking into, get in here, man, you know what I mean? But when I went there, I was just like, I need to do education, because that was like my thing. Even though when I used to gang fight and stuff, I still used to go to the library and read like geography books and stuff, National Geographic and all that. And I was just like, that's my strength. This is my asset. Like this is how, what they say in the systems literature, how you change your behaviour. So instead of seeing yourself as a criminal, somebody that's involved in gangs or whatever it is you're doing, you start to see yourself in a positive way. So like student, father, husband, brother, whatever. So you start to kind of focus more on the more pro-social roles, and when I got that sentence, I started doing a degree in with the university, and I got out like halfway through my sentence, and had a kid, but got recalled to prison for like breach of the peace. Like I went into a shop and a guy was shouting at me because my brother had been in the shop like stealing or breaking the shop or something, and I wasn't there, I was nothing to do with it, but I felt really like on the spot. But anyway, I went back to prison for 8 years because of that. So I like finished the whole sentence, and my kid would become to see me in prison. I'd be sitting going like, my kid's basically spent the first 8 years of his life visiting his dad in prisons. Like, what kind of effect is that going to have on my kid? And that's done to me, even though he wasn't even alive when all this was going on. But the good thing is that there is zero rehabilitation, and I really don't like that word, because to me it implies that you went back to the state you were in before all this happened, and that is literally impossible. Even people like me, like if anybody tells you, oh, I'm rehabilitated and I'll never no, there's no such thing. For people that have been like that for like a huge portion of their life, you need to recognise what is it that's making me do this, and what can I do to stop it? Do you know what I mean? And it involves asking yourself a lot of hard questions, and the irony is that students get the answers to these questions. Do you know what I mean? So as much as I hate to say it, prison did do me a lot of good. I would definitely say that, because I'm not dead, and I'm out in, I've been out 5 years now, and got full custody of my kid. But when I was in prison, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology and criminology, and when I got to the end of my degree, I discovered something called desistance from crime, which is basically the academic study of how do we help offenders go straight once they leave prison. But see, whenever there's any sort of kind of law that comes out and stuff, it's like it focuses on things like if you've done 3 months in prison, if you stay crime free for a year, we'll quash your conviction or whatever it is, and I'm like, that wouldn't even matter to somebody like that, because to try and get into the employment set, whatever, if you've been in prison 3 months, I don't think many people are going to really look at that like, alright, that's too serious to kind of let you in here, do you know what I mean? But as soon as you tell them, like you've done 5 sentences, like a lot of them just, they don't want to know, and I can see why, because I would be the same. I wouldn't want that, like, because you just wouldn't know, do you know what I mean? But I think sometimes we need to break down a lot of stigmas with a lot of people like this as well, because a lot of it's sensationalised in the media, and for a lot of the time they're reporting accurately, but it's the terminology they're using. I remember one time in Shorts Prison there was a football match, and it was all the guys who were well behaved that go out to watch it, but they printed a baying mob of bloodthirsty prisoners, and me and my pal were actually in tears of laughter reading that, like what kind of crap is that they're printing. But if I was somebody who was outside and never experienced the criminal justice system, that would be causing to me a bias, which you might not know what's happening, but I'm bad for it as well, but I try and always be objective. Do you know what I mean? And I get that there's a lot of people who have been like touched by crime and all, and I get that, because like my young cousin, he was murdered with a knife in 2012 or something. My stepdaughter's dad was just murdered about 2 months ago with a knife. So I see the impact from the angle of somebody who's watching all these people in pain, whereas before, like I was like too young and stupid to even care. I thought I had the right to hurt other people as long as they'd done something to anger me because of the trauma that I went through as a kid. Do you know what I mean? And so it sounds like there's a lot more going on than just talking about knives and how they affect people. It's like what's going on in the homes of these people who are allowing like their kids to come out and carry knives. Like none of my family kind of, they did know, but they didn't know as it was happening. Do you know what I mean? They didn't know I was going to be like a weapon on me, and it just keeps like knives just give me the fear now. They really do. Like, I don't have knives in my house, and it's not because I might use it, I just don't like them in my house. I don't like them at all. And that's gone for somebody that carried knives from the age of 13 up to 19, 20. Do you know? So it's good to come in here and actually talk to people about it, because I think it does kind of put that wee bit merit there, that you're not just seeing like a photo in a paper, or because I would be the same. Like, my wee boy comes in and tells me there's wee guys in his school that take knives into school in their bag, and I'm just like, it's gut churning. Do you know what I mean? You want to know your kid's safe going to school. Do you know what I mean? So it's horrifying to think that my son could go to school, or somebody's son, somebody's daughter could go to school one day and not come back, or, you know what I mean? So it's frightening, but I just wanted to also say that when we're talking about like crime and stuff as well, like obviously the majority of people who go to prison come back. Like, there's no very many people who are going to be there for the rest of their lives, and the kind of attitudes and stuff, like, I totally get it. I'm quite conflicted about it, because like I get why people would be like, just lock them up, throw away the key, but like, that's not what it's all getting. You just got to build bigger jails. Do you know what I mean? And that will cause a problem in itself. Do you know what I mean? But thanks everybody for listening, and hope it was alright.